Welcome to Play Pause Turn. In this podcast, we normally discuss all things to do with TV, films, games and literature. We normally give our thoughts on the media we've been enjoying, old or new, and we normally comment on anything topical. But since we are in the middle of the summer holidays, our usual hosts, myself, Alex, Mark and Bobby, and occasionally Amy, are on holiday. So we thought what would be interesting for this slightly different podcast is to tell you what we take on holiday with us in terms of our gadgets and our media. So I've managed to get all of our hosts, or some of our hosts, to record a little message, whether they're on holiday or preparing to go on holiday, about the sort of things they take with them. I'll start with myself, and then it will change obviously to our different hosts as we go along. This may help your research if you're going on holiday, or it may be just interesting for you to find out what sort of things we take with us and what sort of holidays we go on. So, my favourite sort of holiday is a camping holiday, and that's particularly relevant right now because travelling from the UK is a little bit tricky right now. People still do it, but I do love a camping holiday. So, some of the things that I take with me. So, I actually use a clever little sort of packing gadget, which is called the Cocoon Grid It XL. And this is kind of like an organiser for my gadgets. You can get it in different sizes. I've gone for the extra large one, which is roughly about 40 by 28 centimetres in size. And it's basically how do I describe it? A sort of a board that has hundreds of elastic straps in different directions on it. And it allows you just to attach loads of cool different items, and it comes with a little sort of loop for you to hook onto, a hook or something like that. But it kind of has they're straps with inner strings, so they're a bit stronger than normal straps, and they go all in different directions. And you can use it to sort of put all your gadgets in one place. And I quite like that. It keeps them in one place, and I can hang it up in the tent when I'm camping and find them. But it also means when I'm going out and about and leaving the tent, I can just pick the whole thing up and put it in the car so that my precious gadgets aren't readily available to take out of the tent. Not that would happen where I camp. We camp in a really good camping site down in Somerset, which is very secure, but it's just a nice way of organising things. So what do I put into this? Okay, so the first thing I always pack for a camping holiday is my Kindle. And I currently have the most recent Kindle. It's the Kindle Paperwhite, the new generation one, and this one has wireless charging on the back. It's a USB-C charge. It has plenty of storage. That is 32 gigabytes. So I do tend to download all my books onto it, so I can just have everything available. Which is quite useful when you go into a campsite where there is no Wi-Fi, or in the case of the campsite I go to, we're in a valley where there's absolutely no mobile signal whatsoever. And we do that on purpose. We try and take a time off from the internet, a week off the internet, and just unwind away from the worries of the world. Particularly useful right now in the way the world is going. So yes, it's the Paperwhite Signature Edition. It has a 6.8 inch display. It has wireless charging. And it has auto-adjusting front light, which is really nice. So I leave the light on all the time. The battery is amazing; it lasts weeks. The light can be set to a warm colour for the evenings, and it's also a waterproof, which is quite handy if you're going camping, if it rains and so on. I do have like a leather case for it. I think you can get like a cork case for it, which is also waterproof. And I went for the one without the offers, so I don't like the adverts on the front. But it's one of my favourite gadgets because I like the fact that there are no distractions. So if I'm sitting in a valley with no internet, a book with no pop-ups and distractions, it's a really, really good way of unwinding. And I'm currently rereading all six of the June books again. I bought an ebook from the Kindle store from Amazon, which is all 6 books of Frank Herbert's series of June books. I think for a £5 I must have hit some deal somewhere, but it was a really good deal. So I've been enjoying reading those in the quiet calm of a valley in Somerset. Okay, what else do I bring with me on my camping trip? Well, I also bring my iPhone and my AirPods. That's because obviously we can't live without our phones. Even without the internet, I use the phone mainly on the holidays as a camera. And I have the iPhone 13 Pro, and I took some amazing black and white photographs of this beautiful bay we were staying in to swim and sunbathe down in Somerset. But I use the headphones obviously for podcasts. I tend to listen to podcasts in the evenings. And if I want to do any music, I also bring with me my iPod Classic 5th Gen, which is still in brilliant working order. And that has all my offline music on it. Now, what's interesting about my iPod is that obviously I now have Apple Music, which you subscribe to and download or stream from your iPhone. So my iPod Classic tends to have all my paid for music that I bought on iTunes pre-Apple Music. And I quite like leaving that on shuffle and going down that memory lane with all the early music I used to listen to. And it also means I don't have to worry about fiddling around with downloading albums before I leave on my iPhone. Because there's always an album that you want to listen to that you've forgotten to download on your iPhone when you've got no internet. So I tend to bring my iPod Classic with me just so I can listen to music without having to worry about the internet. Now, you're asking me, how do you listen to your music if you've only brought your AirPods Pro? Well, I also have a Bluetooth dongle from AirFly. And I'm just looking up the specs for that now because I've had it for a while. And what that lets me do is the AirFly lets me plug in a sort of a headphone jack at one end. It's the 12 South make it. It's the AirFly. I don't think it's the AirFly Pro. I think it's the early one than the Pro. You can now get the AirFly Pro, which is about £40. But basically, it's a headphone jack at one end and a Bluetooth dongle at the other end. So it lets me plug into any older headphone socket and allow me to use my AirPods. So I tend to have that plugged into my iPod Classic 5G in the tent. And I can listen to that if I want to listen to music. So I'm really catered for in terms of audio, which is really good. And also the battery life is a bit better on the iPod. It makes me use less battery life on my phone. And we'll talk about battery life in a second because that's quite important when you're camping. I also bring with me my Switch. Now, I generally use the Switch more for the journey down, although I did sit in my tent in the evening because I'm a bit of a late recliner. I go to bed quite late because I like to get up early. And if I go to bed early and get up late, I get a bad back. So I tend to go to bed late and get up early to save lying in bed too long. And whilst the rest of the family are dozing, I sit in the tent and play on my Switch. And again, because the Switch now lets you attach wireless headphones to it. I mean, I bought the AirFly for the Switch, but now you can directly attach your AirPods to your Switch. I can sit in there with my AirPods in, and I've been playing a bit of the Portal games on my Switch because they recently came out on the Nintendo Store. A really good deal. Both Portal games for £13, and they are the best games ever made. So if you haven't played Portal or Portal 2, it's quite hard to get hold of those games if you're not on a PC. Console gamers, I think there used to be a thing called the Orange Box a while ago. I remember buying it for my PlayStation 3, maybe 4, on disc. But you can't download those games on the Sony store. I'm not so sure. You can probably download them on the Xbox store. However, they're really, really good on the Switch. In fact, I recently watched Digital Foundry's review of Portal and Portal 2 on the Switch. And it's the only way you can play the game at 60 frames per second on a console. And, because it's designed in the earlier Valve software, it works really well. There's a very, very good porting process over to the Switch. So it looks amazing on the Switch. And I have the Switch OLED, so it looks even better. So I sat in the dark in the tent in the evenings and played that, and while the hours away before I went to bed. And actually, currently, my son and I are playing the Portal co-op, using two controllers on our TV at home via the adapter, the dock adapter. And that's really another really good way of playing Portal. I've never actually played the co-op, so I replay the games because they're brilliant, and I've got to play some new stuff with all the co-op levels, which are amazing, and has really impressed me. My son, who's 10 years old, his problem-solving skills. It's really impressed me what he can do. I don't tend to use a Switch very much whilst I'm on holiday. I tend to sit with my friends around the fire and drink wine. So that's just there if I need it. It's a nice option. Okay. Also with me, I bring a couple of sort of drinking gadgets, which is an AeroPress. It's like a sort of a hand coffee plunger. and I have a USB coffee grinder which grinds my coffee beans for me, and that's USB powered or USB charged actually. And that allows me to grind some coffee beans, put it into the hand press, and squeeze out a nice espresso in the morning, which is kind of essential even when you're camping. And there are various different types of coffee gadgets you can get, but that one's worked really well for me. And the coffee grinder is really handy because it saves you the effort of grinding it yourself. I used to have a hand cranked, still got it somewhere, a hand cranked coffee grinder. But the rest of the camp used to get quite grumpy with me grinding and not cooking the breakfast for them. So we've gone for a quicker option. The last couple of things I want to talk about, because we go to Somerset, we take our wetsuits, we go for a little bit of paddle boarding and swimming, and we go rock pooling. So I do bring with me my GoPro, and I still have my old GoPro Hero 7 Black, which is about 3 generations down. I think the latest one you can get is the GoPro 10, which at some point one day I'll probably upgrade to. But currently I have the GoPro 7. It's still a fantastic device. I don't jump out of planes and film myself very much, so I don't feel the need to upgrade it massively. But it's a wonderful little device for going on holiday, especially if you're going on holidays near water, because you can whack it in its case, although the more modern ones are completely waterproof. My one you have to whack into a case that comes with it. And I can literally go out swimming with it and film my friends and my kids underwater swimming. And it takes snapshots as well, which is really handy when you're out and about in the water. So that's been really good, and I just bring it back home and I take the memory card out and transfer all the 4K video to my Mac. Now, the GoPro is not designed to be, take that wherever you go and film stuff. It's designed for 30 to 40 minute videos max in 4K. After that, the battery tends to go. However, I have got a spare Duo battery charging pack, so it's a little sort of box that you can put 2 GoPro batteries in and charge via USB-C. And I tend to just keep them interchanged. So if I do run out of one battery, I can swap it with the other one, and that's been invaluable for filming whilst down in Somerset. And finally, how do I manage to maintain all these devices whilst on a campsite without power? So the last thing I bring with me is my Big Blue. It's called Big Blue solar charging panel. Now, this is not your standard solar charger. It's a little bit bigger. I absolutely love this device. In fact, we had a lot of good sunshine in Somerset this week, the week we went, so it was really good. It was really useful. The Big Blue solar charger, it's a 28 watt solar charger, and it has, excuse me, a built-in ammeter and chip. So it basically has a better conversion efficiency with that. And what it basically means is it can kind of balance out the charge you get, whether it's in shade or in sunshine, and adjust that charge to your device. It's big. It's a kind of outstretched arm width solar charger. It's quite big. It's kind of dinner plate width. It folds up. It sort of concertinas in and folds up into a nice kind of velcroed pack, and has 3 USB. I've got the USB-A one, but I think the new version is USB-C now. But it's got 3 USB-A sockets in, so you can charge 3 things at once with it. It comes with 4 carabiners, so you can hang it off it has like holes on each end, so you can hang it off trees and things. Although it's big enough just to stand up on its own. And in direct sunlight, when you plug an iPhone into it, it actually charges as quickly as if you're plugging it into a wall socket. Although, not the higher, quicker charger you get with the iPhone, but the standard charger. However, I tend to use... Oh, and I forgot some things I was going to mention. I tend to use battery packs with this. So I have several battery packs. One very good one is the Anker power bank that I've got here. Now, this is a 20,000 milliamp hours battery pack. And that has 2 USB-A outputs, and it has a micro USB and a USB-C input. And I think it costs about £40. It's quite a heavy thing, but it has a really, really good capacity. I mean, you can charge your iPhone 5 times with it, and about 2.5 charges for an iPad. So what I tend to do is I tend to plug that device, the battery pack, into my solar charger. and top it up. And on a good sunny day, that takes quite a long time because obviously these things have high capacity. I think on a sort of overcast day, it took me about 2.5 days to charge. I just left it, the solar charger on top of the tent and just charged it. And the actual solar charger itself, the Big Blue, has like a Velcro pocket where the USB connections are, so you can actually put the charge pack inside that and then keep that in the shade. Because a big worry is your things getting too hot in the sunshine. That's not an issue with this. So I tend to charge those up and then use those to charge everything else in this list up. And it does feel quite a sense of accomplishment to be able to go out into a campsite with no charge points, no plugs, sockets, with a Kindle, an iPhone, AirPods, a Switch, a GoPro, a USB coffee grinder, and an iPod Classic, and an AirFly Bluetooth thing, and be able to survive for a week with all those devices. I do have a couple of other spare battery packs I bring with me as well that aren't quite so efficient. I tend to fob this off to the family. So, for a week, and let's be fair, I don't spend all week playing with my gadgets, but it's nice to have them there and have them available. But it makes the whole week a bit more pleasant, and I think I'd struggle without them completely. Even I mean, the hardest challenge is having no internet, obviously. But but yeah, so that is my list. So we're gonna move on to our next person, which is Alex. Over to you, Alex.
Let me tell you about some of my favourite holiday gadgets to take with you when you go away on holiday. I'd really recommend that you take similar versions with you. So first up is the NVIDIA Shield. It seems like a strange one to take a streaming stick with you when you go away on holiday. However, one of the things I found is that hotel TV, or if you're staying somewhere self-catering or an apartment, is universally bad. And most TVs that are used for holiday lettings are lower spec TVs. They often don't have access to streaming services. And then you've also got the challenge of whether you want to put your personal details into someone else's system just so you can watch Netflix, for example. So taking a streaming stick with you, and the NVIDIA Shield is mine, can be a really, really useful tool to help you put something on the TV when you're winding down after a day of hiking or just laying on the beach. So I use the NVIDIA Shield. It's a really, really good Android TV streaming stick. It's quite expensive, but it includes really good functionality, including upscaling to 4K, as well as being really well supported by NVIDIA. The original came out in 2015, so that's 7 years ago, and it's still being updated at least once a year. And they are improving it and upgrading the versions of Android sort of regularly to make sure that you get the best from it. It now has the new Google TV interface. What I found is it just works flawlessly, so it's not slow or sluggish. It has an Ethernet port, which can be useful, particularly if you're in a hotel and Wi-Fi has problems. Then having an Ethernet port can sometimes get around that. And it comes with its own remote, so all you need to do is just bring the stick and the remote with you, plug it in, connect to Wi-Fi or Ethernet, and then you're off. You're going with all of the apps that you usually use. So yeah, I found that really, really good, and I thoroughly recommend it. There's one other benefit of using a streaming stick like that, and the reason is that when you go abroad, sometimes you'll find that certain streaming services don't offer the same selection of movies or TV shows. So my NVIDIA Shield, you can install apps on it because it's got Google Play on it. So one of the nice things from that is, you can install a VPN app to access internet from, as if you're coming from the UK, for example. And so sometimes that can get around geo blocking. For example, we started watching the Euro 2022 women's final on it. You have to bear in mind that internet connections at hotels can be quite poor, so you should sort of bear that in mind. Sometimes you'll technically be able to watch it, but you might have to put up with some stuttering, and that's where you just have to kind of sometimes make some choices. My next one is the Samsung S8 tablet. You can include any tablet if you like, whether it's an iPad or an Android alternative. For me, I love my Samsung S8 tablet, and also I brought a keyboard cover with me as well. What that means is it means that I have a powerful computer that I can bring with me, which is a lot lighter than bringing a laptop, and is focused around the things that I would want to do more on holiday, but still allows me to have the option of, if I have to do work, I can do work. The Android tablet's great for playing games. So we played a lot of Ticket to Ride, which is an app that I thoroughly recommend. It has a nice pass and play feature so that you can take turns doing your goes and then passing it to your partner. So so I think I really recommend that. And because I have the keyboard cover as well, it also meant that if I had to update some documents, or even if I had to sort of, respond to a Teams call, for example, I can do all of that using the tablet really well without it being a problem. And the other great thing about having a tablet like that, as opposed to bringing your laptop, is the battery life is brilliant, so it'll last pretty much all day. And so that does mean that, if the weather's bad or you happen to be in the room for a fair bit of time, you don't have to be wed to the power cable or a battery bank. My next choice is the Microsoft Surface headphones. They're a purchase that I made a few years ago. I think they're on Surface headphones too now. What I really like about them is they have very good quality noise cancellation, and they are big over-ear headphones, so they're closed over-ear headphones, and so that gives you really good sort of separation of noise and things that's happening outside from what you can hear inside when you've got the headphones on. They're my workhorse. I use them a lot for podcasting and everything. When we're going on a flight, for me, airplane noise is very distracting. And so I just, turn them on, pop them over my ears, and even if I'm not connected to anything, it helps dull the airplane noise so that it's not too loud for me. They have a really long battery life. It's about 15 hours. A 12-hour flight is very capable on these headphones, and they're super comfortable. So really, really good and recommended. Other good ones are the Bose and Sony both do very, very good noise cancelling headphones. So they're both, those are both good if you're doing a lot of travelling. But yeah, my ones of choice are the Microsoft Surface headphones, so I'd recommend them. My next recommendation is another set of headphones, but this is a bit different. These are called the Shox Open Run Pros. They are bone conduction headphones. What they do is you wrap them around your head. They sit just in front of the earlobe, and they will play music or audio, and it essentially vibrates the side of your head that connects to your ear canal and to your eardrum. So it sounds like you're getting a really good set of headphones, but the plus side is that because those aren't actually sitting in your ears, you can still hear people talking outside, and you don't have to sort of go, what? Sorry, so what is that? And for me, that's really useful when I'm sitting by the pool listening to an audiobook. It's just nice to know what's going on around me. And, obviously it's not distracting at that time, but it's also good, you can speak to your partner whilst you have, a bit of music going on in the background without it being too distracting, without you having to take your headphones off each time that you want to talk and then put them back on whenever you're finished. So yeah, they're super comfortable, and I'd really recommend them. I've got a couple of other choices here. One thing I would recommend is taking with you something like my Starling Bank card and the mobile app. So Starling Bank offer commission-free currency worldwide, and that can be really good, particularly if you're paying in a different currency. Then you don't want to be paying commission and extra markup fees. Yeah, so I thoroughly recommend them, and they helped me get good rates when I was buying in Mauritian rupees recently. And finally, when we're thinking of apps, the streaming apps have a download and offline feature, and I use that extensively for the flight. I had mixed success with the apps, so I want to talk through the apps that I used and which worked well and which ones didn't, and things to bear in mind. So for me, I downloaded a number of films and TV shows on the Netflix app. I also downloaded a few TV shows and films on the Disney Plus app. Also a couple from Prime Video. So how did it go? Well, the main thing that I realised is that the download features do not work flawlessly. Also don't necessarily work well offline. So the best was Netflix. Netflix downloaded the videos quickly and worked seamlessly once I had went into airplane mode and showed me the downloaded files and enabled me to play them straight away. So Netflix worked really well. First time I used the Disney Plus app to download some files, that mostly worked okay, but then when I got to onto the plane and into airplane mode, when I opened the Disney Plus app, it then just said that I wasn't online and didn't show me anything. So that was highly frustrating, and it's just a lesson learned that if you are using a streaming app like that, please put it on airplane mode while you're still at home, and just load up the app again and make sure it works, because if it doesn't, you've got the chance to kind of reopen the app or do something to just kind of maybe turn the tablet off and on again, just to make sure that you know it's definitely downloaded properly and ready to work. So that's a little tip. Prime Video was actually really quite poor, so it downloaded the videos, but then complained that I wasn't online, which obviously I wasn't because I was on a plane. So that was highly frustrating. I did find that on the way back, because I'd put it in airplane mode beforehand while I had some internet connection, something happened and it seemed to work okay. But I think that's something to bear in mind. The other weird thing that I hit was sometimes videos on streaming apps, particularly Disney, they wouldn't let me play Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. For some reason, it just said that was unable to be played, despite showing as downloaded in the app. So if you have a particular film or TV show that you really want to watch over the flight, put it in airplane mode and double check that it actually works. And if it doesn't work, try turning off airplane mode, deleting the video, and trying to download it again, because maybe there was a problem and it didn't capture that. But yeah, so that's highly frustrating, because if you're stuck on a 12-hour flight and you don't have the right shows, then you are at the mercy of what's available in your plane entertainment systems.
Thank you for that, Alex. There's some top tips there. I'm quite tempted by the NVIDIA Shield as well. It's very hard to find some sort of small portable device with the same functionality in the Apple ecosystem. So that sounds quite good. Now, our next holiday gadgeteer is Bobby, and for extra authenticity, he's already on his way on his holiday in his car. Over to you, Bobby.
Hello, plays, pause, turners. This is Bobby, and John's request for holiday gadgets is very timely, because we just booked our first holiday in 3 years. Not me and John, me and my wife, Carolina. So we're off to Cornwall for 7 or 8 days, and I can't wait. And that means that I'm already, even though our holiday is about 2 weeks away, I'm already thinking about what gadgets we are going to be taking with us, or rather I am going to be taking with me, because I'm the one who's responsible for all that sort of thing when we go away. So I am going to be definitely taking the iPad Pro. It's the most versatile device we have for listening to lots of different things. So, I obviously video and TV shows. Now, the good thing is that the hotel that we're going to, as well as being supremely dog friendly, so our dogs, Emily and Bailey, who you may have heard from time to time on the podcast, in the background, will be coming with us. The television in our suite has Netflix. We just need to supply our own username and password, which isn't a problem. So that's really good, because that means we can keep up with shows such as Better Call Saul, and Extraordinary Attorney Woo, which is a Korean show about an autistic lawyer, and it is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It is a breath of fresh air. It's such a great show. We've been absolutely riveted. And then I need to catch up on season 3 of The Umbrella Academy, and we will have lots of options. That's the main thing. Generally, when I go away, I will always download the American version of The Office because it's just so easy to watch when you just want stuff to watch when you're either on the beach or those early hours of the morning when the family haven't got up yet and you just want something that's 20-25 minutes and entertains you. I absolutely love that show. But then at the same time, I am watching Schitt's Creek. I'm very late to that show, but I've raced through 4 seasons. I think I'm on season 5. I don't want to give anything away. But if I haven't finished it by the time we go away, I've got to download whatever's left and get it done. I will probably also take the Kindle. We have an older Kindle Paperwhite, and the reason I like that device is because it's nice and small, it's portable. Usually I've got my library of business and fiction books. I'd like to read some fiction when we go away, actually. I'm not sure what. I need to work that one out. But yeah, some fiction would be nice. I actually got hard copy, so this is going to contradict what I've just said about Kindle. But I bought Dave Grohl's storyteller book. I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's something like that. Storyteller. The Storyteller, but I definitely want to read that. And Dennis Bergkamp's very famous Arsenal and Holland player, one of my heroes, his autobiography, Stillness and Speed, I'm going to take that with me because Carolina got it for my birthday a few years ago and I've never read it. And I'm sure there are other books in that category that I will need to pop into the luggage. In terms of other gadgets that I'll take with me, obviously I'll have my iPhone. I have an iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is my work phone. Now this is the conundrum because my personal phone is an iPhone mini. And although the camera on the iPhone mini is very good, it's not quite as good as the one on the Pro Max. So I might just take the Pro Max, but leave it in airplane mode. And then at least I can snap away with that. And then obviously I've got the iPhone mini for personal calls and things in case people need to get hold of me. So yeah, that's something I'm going to need to work out. But then obviously because I've got my music, so I will be taking my Beats Fit Pro, which I'm favouring over my AirPods Pro actually, not just because they fit in my ears and they don't fall out, but they just work, and I'm having loads of connectivity problems with the AirPods Pro. So I am going to have to take those back to the Apple Store and see if they can sort them out. But basically, the left AirPod seems to connect and charge, and the right one just doesn't want to know for 90% of the time. It's supremely frustrating. So I'm going to take the Beats Fit Pro with me as my in-ear option. And then I'm probably going to take the AirPods Pro Max. Carolina has a pair in silver and I have a pair in space grey. And I think it would be nice to do that because then we can do some of that sort of shared audio stuff and maybe watch some stuff in Dolby Atmos on the iPad Pro. Speaking of which, I'll need to download some films. I think I will definitely be downloading Live and Let Die because we will need to be watching that for the next Bondathon on Tailoring Talk, which is my podcast. For those of you that don't know, go check it out. Sorry, John, I had to do a little plug. And if Top Gun Maverick is available on digital download by then, I would definitely like to see that again. But then other than that, I think we'll probably just, because it's a nice sort of, trip away, and it's just Carolina and I having some quality time together, albeit with the dogs. But, you know, I might actually just download a few of the Richard Curtis romantic comedies and maybe some sort of older films as well, like North by Northwest, you know, some of those sort of classics from the 50s and 60s. So yeah, that's probably more content than we need for a week away. But yeah, so in summary, I will definitely be packing the iPad Pro, our AirPods Pro Max for both of us, my Beats Fit Pro, so that I've got those for my own private listening pleasure. And also when I go out on bike rides, because I'll be taking my Brompton as well. I don't know if that counts as a gadget for the purposes of this episode, but I love my Brompton. It will fit in the back of our SUV quite nicely, and I will be taking it with me so I can go and do some early morning exploring on my bike down in the south coast. And I will be taking the Kindle and some hardback books. There you go, some old gadgets that are made out of paper. That's that. Thank you for listening to my little segment, and I hope if you listen to this and you are going on holiday after, I hope you have a wonderful time whatever you get up to, and I hope you've all had a wonderful summer. We're all looking forward to recording a lot of fantastic content on Play Pause Turn this coming autumn winter season. We've got lots to look forward to. There are lots of more Marvel shows and movies coming out, and even more besides in the world of pop culture, gaming and film. So we will look forward to seeing you very, very soon. I can't wait to get back together with Alex, John, Mark and Amy. Have an amazing summer, whatever you're up to. Look after yourselves.